My Facebook is very choppy right now, guys, and I'm terribly sorry about that. But what I was trying to say yesterday and today, of course, um, the things that people interjected or tried to interject into my life at 11 Oaks is symmetrical to what Gina was trying to do with drugs. Like, she never said nothing like that until she received a payment. She's never said nothing like any type of thing about me bad until she received that payment, which was thousands of dollars that purchased the Range Rover. Now, other than that, the other things that I was saying was it's the same symmetrical situation at 11 Oaks. People trying to interdict drugs into my live videos, which I do not use any type of controlled substance whatsoever. It's also symmetrical to someone trying to plant drugs in my car one night in Abilene. Um, the way Gina was acting whenever I went to visit Aretta the first time. Aretta said, "Dad, I know my mom had everything to do with this." And you know what Gina said? She said, "Girl, I told you to shut up. We're not going to talk about the past. You don't want to talk about the past." Like, she had my daughter trying to control her into not letting her use her Second Amendment rights. She's trying to control what that girl was saying. Other than that, so she's saying, "You're not allowed to talk about the past." Well, this girl's 17 years old, and you're saying that she can't even use her Second Amendment right to tell the truth. Another thing, Charles Wayne Scott is the same MO. Try to interject drugs into my life and try to take my life. It's the same MO as Jana Brown. They try to interject mental health and drugs into someone's life and then go at their life. It's the same MO. Other than that, let's see. Miss Mandrell, she was taking money to tweak kids' grades. She got there in 2023, left in 2024, but she was fired from the school system for being dishonest and a very corrupt person. I bet if you could easily figure it out, you can trace those money trails to, of course, who did it, who paid her, of course. But at that, could one of these payees also be the one that had Miss Mandrell lie on me to try to get me a misdemeanor to take my life with Joed Bose and Castro over there? Also, other than that, Gina tried to fabricate evidence over there in Sweetwater. Sweetwater Jones, two DAs, two investigations, two state investigations agencies that Gina was planning and fabricated evidence for. But Ms. Mandrill joined into the situation. And also, let's see, what other situation here do we have? Um, the fire investigation, of course, they didn't investigate it right. I can go put a can I could put a paint can with a tube in the top after you drill a hole and put a piece of charcoal in the tube, and it would suck in any type of contaminants or uh, what do you call it? Flammable fluids or whatever gases that are flammable. You know, it could still be like looking at that. I've seen worse conditions that were investigated, and it was so easy to investigate it. All you do is get a empty paint can, you drill a hole in the top, you put a plastic tube in the top, you put charcoal in and let it suck in the flammable gases. Charcoal would suck it up, and then you mix an elixir in that, and and you put it in the machine, it will separate all the gases. So that would have been easy to investigate. Another thing that I would like to say is after Gina received this payment from Linda, one evidential thing is that as she controls what Alretta says and not allowing that woman to use her Second Amendment rights, around that time, of course, destruction of evidence. They, Linda, of course, and them, had Gina and Alretta erase their Facebooks, which means that someone's destroying evidence. The fire, destruction of evidence. That's right. Destroying evidence. That's also, that's a circumstantial thing and physical thing of someone destroying evidence. There's no reason why a mother and a daughter would both, at the same time she received a payment, both erase their Facebooks to destroy evidence. That's correct evidence. obstructing evidence, destroying evidence. That's right, of a crime. Why would they both erase their Facebooks at the same time and then change their stories up? You tell me. Hmm, that's right. Why would Charles Wayne Scott be able to go into my household to commit a serial killing, to destroy evidence? So, why would some people at 11 Oaks try to poison me? That's to destroy evidence. Why would someone try to absolve themselves? Because I prayed to God and I thought I heard God say, look, they're trying to absolve themselves, man. That's all they've been doing the whole time is trying to absolve themselves. I didn't know what absolve means. I never heard it in my life. I don't use that type of lingo, so I had to go all the way up here to hop in. And I asked the woman, hey, will you look up what absolve means? And she Googled it because I pray to God. Every day I can pray out loud. I can pray walking down the street to Jesus through my Lord and Savior. I heard absolve. They're trying to absolve themselves. So I went up there and asked, what does absolve mean? And the lady at the store, which she's a very good woman, and she did apologize for the defamation of character that they did towards me. And she said, I don't even know what it means either. So we looked it up on Google, and it says someone who tries to do something. Well, look it up yourself. Try to avoid guilt and punishment. And that's what I heard. Someone who's trying to absolve themselves. So at that, if you look at the entire thing, the entire case and all that, you see a group of people trying to absolve themselves from something. Absolve. I've never heard that word in my life. I've never used that word in my life. I just prayed to Jesus, and that's the answer that I got from God was someone, a person, or a group of people are trying to absolve themselves. And I'm like, what does absolve mean, God? Hold up, man. I don't hear voices, of course. I pray. And I never heard that word in my life. But, sometimes God answers you. Now, absolve. Look it up. I don't use that language, absolve. Now, of course, that's you know what I'm saying, that I said on Facebook the other day. So, absolve. That's a good word. Absolve. Absolve is a good vocabulary word. Other than that, I found a beautiful kitten last night. And, I took him to the house, but he clawed me a little bit and farted a couple times on the way home. We got in the tent. He tried to poop once, and I should have got a litter box, right? And which that's cool. But I bought some meow mix for him, and he ate a little bit of meow mix. But he was so worried and wanted to go, so I just let him go. I need me a cute little kitten and a puppy. But other than that, I've been doing some gardening. Excuse my eye, my allergies are a little bit messed up, of course. You know what I'm saying? But that's fine. But at that, people try to absolve themselves by trying to interject mental health or drugs into my life. And that's two things that aren't there. I've seen a psychologist, and he said, hell, you're good. The psychologist also looked at the videos of Gina spilling all the beans. And he said, this woman is sick. And then my other one said, yeah, that's a sick ass bitch. And my counselor, of course, to see a counselor every Friday when I used to, just to talk, she said, you're good. You're not lying. And she says that I see a woman sitting here leading on a conversation. You're being very passive in the conversation. And she's imaging dates, places, people, and all that. So with no further ado, then you look at the black and white paper and you're like, oh shit. You see the dates and you see the names and the ages, and it's all wrong. Even the police in Hamlin, they're like, oh shit. Even the police in Abilene, Detective Cincineros, he was listening to me one day, and he just started typing into his computer, and he said, holy fuck. He said, you're not lying. I thought you were just talking. But at that, as I sat here and listening, he said, he started fact checking it. He said, everything checks in. He told me that the route that you go, of course, because he's not the judge, he said, look, I advise you to get up there to that damn U.S. court and you file this because, look, There's no way this can happen. He said, "You're not lying. You're a very honest man." And he did apologize, and we had a very good understanding that day. And I do appreciate that guy. We had seen eye to eye, and that's a good thing. Of course, the police officer in Hamlin, of course, pulled up and he said, "I understand, Parker." He said, "Look, I know it's." He said, "I know about this, and it's a fake ass record. I I've done 9 calendar years for nothing." And people, of course, here in Hamlin, there's some good people here. They're not all black either. There's some good ones. Now, he said, "We understand, and just hang in there. We're trying to clean Hamlin out, but they understand what's been laced up in my life. They're not the court either, of course not. So the route that I'm going is the proper procedure. That's right. So, um, that's that. I mean, there's nothing that I can do other than what I've already applied, and add that as I collect and send to the court. Um, that's what the proper procedure is. When you have a false record that someone's been trying to absolve themselves and lace your record up using your wife, then that's what you do. Now, other than that, I was looking on my Wi-Fi, scanning the area, and it said Project 5150 on there. I have no idea what that is, but it seems like someone trying to push someone over the edge to commit suicide or to look a certain way. Project 5150. And hell, my doctor says I'm not 5150, and hell, of course, I'm not on drugs. So the only way they had before to absolve themselves was sending Charles Wayne Scott in to gun people down. But that's what you have to do. You got to jump through the loop of fire. You have to empower yourself and to not let a bunch of freaking idiot circus people make you look any type of certain way. You don't place someone in a situation that they have no involvement in and try to have something happen there to make them look a certain way using Facebook, such as Linda and Gina tried to do, leaving Aretta there while Gina called saying, "Oh, all I can tell you what y'all where I am is borrowed time. Y'all," as in her own daughter too, "y'all are supposed to die now," is what she said. And that's a very terrible thing. Who wants to be with a woman like that? Who wants to be with a woman that beat this child in the face, man, with her beard, with her fist, her and her mom? Beat a damn 8-year-old child trying to push her on top of a black man in order to absolve someone, to lace up a criminal record. That's what she did, and she says it on that video that I just dropped yesterday. Now, why would she, the same person, after receiving this payment, change her Facebook, of course, just erase everything on there as she was asked by Linda and them to do so? Okay? Erase her Facebook and her daughter's Facebook and not allow her daughter to talk about the past. You're not allowed to say nothing. Well, fuck. Ain't that kind of strange, huh? That a grown ass woman can't even talk about something to deny a person of their Second Amendment rights. Just like Charles Wayne Scott came to do also, to deny me of my Second Amendment rights. I'll come here to shut you up and shut y'all up for good, you Niggers. And also, Gina used the same derogatory term, the nigger, Nigger trash, and said that she's the queen, that she's, what she say, she's royalty. Now, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you collect evidence. And so, whenever you direct people, you show them what you're going through, and you talk straight, and you look at the camera, and you talk very intelligent, and don't let no one around you change what you have going on. Distractions, selective hearing. Excuse my eye, I didn't get hit in it. It's just allergies. Now, as I've been in Hamlin, I've only went inside 3 households. One being an 84-year-old, another being a 74-year-old woman, which they were both people that don't do any type of substances whatsoever. I went to my cousin's house. I got a soda earlier. Of course, no substances was in there. And he said, I wouldn't dare give you nothing. Of course, and I said, I wouldn't dare take nothing either. I said, I don't smoke marijuana. I don't really drink. I drank one beer today, way this morning. But at that, I don't smoke marijuana either. If there was a guy there smoking marijuana, I covered my nose and walked through. Because I don't even like the smell of it. So that's what's going on. I had a little bit of money there. Still, I should have some money today. Still on my cards or whatever. I bought some stuff for the place, soda, ice, as in cold ice that you put in a cooler. I bought a cooler, um, and stuff like that. So whenever Gina and Linda did that on the Facebook thing, they already knew they were setting up. Gina was over there watching. Well, she had already acting crazy, and I didn't know what to do. So that's what was going on, and that was to portray a false image to the community, such as Simsick and Brandon Arnold did so, defaming my character. And also how Eleven Oaks tried to interject things in my life. You want some dope? You want some dope? 50 times a day. And also depriving me of my sleep, to try to knock me mentally off balance to fool y'all. Because obviously someone knows that I get on Facebook every single day protesting, and have been doing so for the last 7 or 8 years daily. But protesting for the last 18 years since 2007. And around that time, of course, I did try to hire Richard Mabry to be a lawyer to resolve the issue, but he passed away. Now, no one should send someone that you don't follow you to Hamlin. Of course, people out the city council came to, that are they came to the house and told me, and I read, look, these people follow y'all to town. Of course, we know. We were already been stalked. We understand. We already knew. She said, these people came. Well, they came again. I have been being stalked here. I had was even with Angela's husband, and we got followed from Ossops all the way down there to my house. There's been people pulling up on my land and then going around the corner and wait until I walk up the street to follow me up the street. Now that's called stalking. That's correct. Stalking is kind of what Miss Mandrell did. A group of people. I wonder where Miss Mandrell came from, because Miss Mandrell, she also made up some fairy tale, which the same CPS caseworker said, "Oh my gosh," and Bobby Evans did too. Like, these people are freaking lying on you. Well, Miss Mandrell takes payments to do things for people in the community that have money that possibly pulled up behind us. So all you got to do is really follow those payments. Gina did receive a payment. That payment paid for the Range Rover. That's where she got it from. The person that paid for it was Linda. And Linda does help children. And she helps this out. But around the same time that all this stuff was happening, I already noticed something. She said, damn. She said, Dad, Linda don't even say hi to me no more or anything. Like, what's going on with her? Because Linda, I don't know. You tell me. Um, she used to be nice, but then whenever I read it, didn't go along with their story at first until she received the payment and got already out of there. And Gina's like, you ain't allowed to say what you want to say. You're not allowed to tell her. Like, you don't tell a grown ass person what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to say. Charles Wayne Scott, he came in there and reiterated that fact, didn't he? You aren't allowed to say this. You aren't allowed to say that. I come here to shut you all up once and for all. You damn NIGGERS. You all are going to DIE in here. You damn NIGGERS. So he came back, and came back. Harass. That's my point there. That's an ongoing situation. Now, Gina did receive the payment. She did. She received it for sure. Damn for sure. I held the money order in my fucking hand, one of the money orders, and she clearly told me what it was for. Now, wait for it. She said, y'all, you're supposed to die this time. So now, of course, the 30th attempt of my life was at 11 Oaks. People trying to poison me with kerosene. They put kerosene in some chili with some weenies on some bread and offered it to me at 3 a.m. As I was sleeping outside on the patio. Now, you guys try to juggle a full time job and going to Full Sail University while people keep you up all night and try to get on live Facebook. Imagine just being kept up for 3 days and you don't do a drug induced either. You're going to be tired as fuck to knock you off balance like a war tactic, of course, or someone who specializes in fucking with people's minds. So, that's an intelligent way to speak. Absolute. So I'm being very elaborate and I can use the long words like inevitable. Things are inevitable. Black people are not all ignorant, right? Of course, I'm not ignorant. My IQ is 138. Now, mental health. Oh, I have no mental health issues whatsoever. What people want to do is obviously try to discredit you to absolve something or someone or a group that followed Gina. Well, absolved for what? Well, hell, Gina explains it all on the video. Now, every person involved in this here in Hamlin are all corrupt. Brandon Arnold, fired for corruption. Tricia Simpson, fired for corruption. Miss Mandrell, fired for corruption, accepting money to do stuff. Uh, Gina and Aretta, of course, do drugs, meth, K2, and Gina smokes crack. Another thing is she says about the payment, she talks about the money, she talks about the deals. She was not let on in the conversation. They point all that out. Another thing is, of course, she asked for my land after I die, and asked that I not be able to speak about anything, which I'd say what the fuck I want. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else I should say other than Carrie Blair, the Dallas Air Force dick sucker that let a baby pass away. She was there to save a baby's life, but she went in there and started sucking some dude up instead of going in there. That's a CPS caseworker that she let the baby die in a Tiffany Clifford case. Um, Other than that, Joed Bose and Castro, the ones waiting for the misdemeanors to take my entire life to absolve someone else, a group of people to absolve them. How to absolve them? The same tactic they've been using, lacing my record up with Gina and what? That's that. Wait for a misdemeanor and just try to take me out with just all the power that you have, which would be a misdemeanor. When you have an innocent man sitting there, an innocent man that's been trying to get justice. You burn a man's house and kill all of the animals and take everything that he has. And at that, I wrote it in my book. Let's separate the family and get him, get him, get him, get him. Well, shit. Look what they did. They separated family. Look at my son, Deontay. Look what they did with Alretta. You have a group of people that followed us down here and separated us out too. Now I'm being stalked. Let's get him to a place where he can't be helped, where no one's there to save him, where he's by himself. Where am I? By myself. But you know what? I have God. That's right. I have God. And at that, there's people here to help too. There are good people here. And Jay Strong, of course, he called me and said, hey, look, I'm trying to clean Hamlin out. I'm trying to change it. Look, we're trying to get all the trash out here. And at that, he had contacted me and he said that there is something wrong with the district attorney, that his officers turned in all the evidence for the attempted serial killing, and even his field officers and investigators are wondering what the fuck is going on because this is not right. He said it's not right. There's something very, very fishy. He said, I agree that is wrong. There's something wrong with it. You have a white man that goes in a house and pulls a gun to a little girl's head, and he gets to walk away. But they get to just make up and pretend that I committed a misdemeanor, and he tries to take my whole entire life. 25 to life for a misdemeanor. And at that, if that person would have succeeded at planting the drugs and getting me caught, that would have been 25 to life again. I'm coming to Texas. The email sent from the Kerry Blair, the Dick Sucker Dodge Air Force Base, sent to them said, let's just make this stuff up. And at that, if you look at the paperwork and you see the date and ages and all that, then you see the problem. You have a person there pretending was nearly 10 or so, but at that same year, they were just an infant, a baby, like maybe 1 or 2 years, I don't know. In order to be able to commit a crime, you can't punch a baby in the head. And 10 years later, you know, they say, oh, now they were 7 or 10 or whatever, and they were a baby. That's a lie. It's all in black and white. There's no way to go and change that. That's a loose end. And what Gina and her mother did before that is another loose end. Of course, what they did was they were offered money by this same group of people. And what they did to Tawana LaBelle Franklin is shocking. They beat her. For this money, they beat that girl in the face. I don't know how much they got. I mean, I know Gina's mom didn't get nothing because she died. And Gina, as she says in the video, I've been asking all these years for forgiveness. Well, I've forgiven y'all, but I sure ain't forgot what the fuck you did. And ain't no judge, ain't nobody who can shut me up about that because it is what it is. It is what it is. You did it. You beat that girl for those people, trying to push her on top of me for a pre-planned case. And at that, her brother Lewis came in and offered me some weed. Of course, I bought it and I flushed it directly down the toilet. And I was also let off probation early because of this group of people trying to kill my family in Washington, which shows travel, act, human trafficking because they raped the kids and took them under false pretense because, hey, you pushed your sister when you were 13 years old and now you're 26, even though you had 10 CPS cases in between then that you passed and beat. But you know what? We're just going to take your kids and screw them, right? That's what they did. Now little Deontay's gay. Deontay wouldn't go along with their plan. Deontay is a witness. What they did to him in order to get to me and to separate the family is already wrote in a book. And I posted the name of the book. I'm an author. Yes, I'm very intelligent. He's locked up, and I know he's praying to Jesus right now. And I know that he needs a lot of help. Is Gina lifting one finger to help that boy out? Of course, she don't care about her own kids. She tried to sell her daughter, beating that girl in the face, trying to shove her on top of a man for some money. That's terrible. Lewis trying to put drugs in my system. There you go again. Drugs in my system for a pre-planned CPS case. That's right. It's the same MO. They did it. All the evidence speaks. It's just concrete. Now, you can take facts and give it to someone and let someone with sense look at that. And a motherfucking retard can, that retard can look at it and say, you don't have a time machine, do you? No, there ain't no time machine here. It's all facts. I'm a realist. Now, you have a family that's been protesting something as a group all this time, but a payment gets done, and then what? The Facebooks get erased at the same time. That's destroying evidence. It's very, very, very overwhelming and circumstantial, other than the sworn statement that she wrote. But at that, I published in my book also in 2017 what she would do in 2024, which she did in 2024 because the FBI told me to write it down. Write down everything they do, everything they say, everything you hear. Okay. Now, now, in that book, of course, it speaks of everything, all that shit. Now, now you have a group of people falling around trying to absolve themselves by lacing your criminal record up. It's the same MO the whole entire time in an ongoing situation. And they screwed my little boy too in his behind. And I feel so bad for that boy. You know? So that's what was going on in my life. is going on in life, but I have no worries today. My worry is, hey, hopefully my son is okay. I'm the only one lifting a finger to help him out. Why? Because I love him. The mother, which even my psychologist that I had that says there's nothing wrong with me says Gina's a sick bitch. Hey, how are you doing? Hold on one second, guys. Y'all have a good one, and you take care.